Welcome to Leadership Hall, where we learn leadership, think leadership, talk leadership, and effecting a positive change in leadership for kingdom and global impact. We encourage you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel as we welcome our resource person.
Hello viewers, you're welcome to today's episode. And in the last episode, we're focusing on why we should invest in the next generation leaders. And we did promise in today's episode, we'll be focusing on why do we fail in raising new leaders? Why do we fail in investing in next generational leaders? And it's a very big problem in leadership, a very big problem in leadership. We want to advance some of the reasons why we fail to invest in the next generation leaders, or why do we fail in raising up new leaders. Number one reason is that we don't believe in others. Once you are a leader and you don't believe that any other person in that organization can step into that office, can do what you are doing in that office and even better than you will not see the need to invest in that person. Once you're a pastor of a church, you believe that you're the only one who can pray, you're the only one who can preach, you're the only one who can bring down God, you're the only one who can teach well, and there is no other person who can teach as you, who can preach as you. You don't believe in others. You don't believe in the potentials of others. Consequently, it will not be a priority to you in spending time to train new ministers, new leaders, investing in them. Once you feel that you are the only person who can do that job so well, and no other person under your leadership in that organization, in that community, in that church can do it as you, or can do it more than you, why should you then be thinking of investing in raising and developing them? You're the worship leader. You believe that if you're not the one leading in worship, no other person can lead the worship. If you're not the one doing it, no other person can do it and have the required or expected results. Once you have that kind of mindset, it will trap you down and it will blind you. It will rob you of that potential of investing in the next generation leaders. The next reason why we fail to invest in next generation leaders is when we are suffering from what we call the success syndrome or the superstar syndrome. The success syndrome or the superstar syndrome. You know, somebody said when you're drunk of alcohol, you can easily, walk out of it. But when you are drunk with success, it can take you to your grave. There are many of us that we fail in investing and raising more leaders, other ministers, other people to take over what we are doing. We fail in building up others to do what we are doing. We fail in building up others because we have been possessed by what we call the success syndrome. We are suffering what we call the superstar. You want to be the only experienced preacher in that city. You want to be the only anointed man of God in that congregation. You want to be the only experienced lawyer in your nation, in your city. You want to be the best engineer, and you don't want any other person to beat down your records or to match up to what you've done. So you are suffering from what we call the superstar syndrome, the success syndrome. But true success is when you can help others to succeed. When you can make others stars, then you are a true superstar. But when you're the only one who can do what you are doing and no other person can do it as you, and you think that you are succeeding, you are failing. You are failing in that organization, you are failing in ministry, you are failing in that potential, you are failing in that sphere or domain of influence. Now, one of the reasons why we actually fail to invest in the next generational leaders, or we fail in raising new leaders, is because we are afraid of rivals. We are afraid of rivals or challenges. There are some of us that we don't want any rival. You are just like King Saul when God chose David. Saul saw King David as a rival, and King Saul began hunting the life of David. He became jealous, he became bitter, he became envious, he became wicked. And consequently, instead of him, paving the way for David to come to the throne, Saul would rather want to kill David. There are some of us that in leadership, there are people who are under us that are rising up powerfully. Instead of us to fund that potential, to encourage that potential, to support that potential, to stand with that potential, and to provide a platform for that potential to be made manifest for the world, we are rather fighting it, we are attacking it, we criticize it, we condemn it, we are jealous of it, we are envious of it, and we do everything to crush that potential, to crush that next leader in that organization. You're in that company, you're in that organization, there is that young guy, there is that employee under you who is very hardworking and very productive, very resourceful. In fact, the recommendations that your superiors have been giving about that guy, about that young lady, is so impressive. But because you are afraid of rivals, you are afraid of challenges, you keep writing bad reports about that person. That is bad of you in leadership. Rather that potential, that kind of results that he or she is producing is to your advantage. It's for the good of the organization. It's for the good of the nation. So why are you intimidated by the upcoming leaders, by the upcoming potentials, the upcoming preachers, the upcoming singers, the upcoming, lawyers, the upcoming engineers, the upcoming footballers? Why are you intimidated by the influence, the impact, the prowess of the people who are under you? That shows that you are an insecure leader. You are not secured in yourself. You are not secured in your leadership. And let me tell you, it will cause you to crash seriously in leadership if you don't change your mindset. Why do we fail in raising new leaders? Because we don't understand what true success in leadership is all about. Once we don't understand what true success in leadership is all about, consequently, we will fail in investing and raising new leaders. Once you are in leadership and you cannot define what success is, your criteria, what you call success, what you define as success, is far from what true success is all about, the next thing is that you will fail in your leadership. Because if you are ignorant of the fact that your success in leadership is also measured by the successors that you've raised, by the people who can step into your shoes, who can put on your suit, who can put on your garment, who can put on your shoes, who can sit on your seat where you are sitting and do what you are doing, and in a better way, then you've not succeeded as a leader. You have failed as a leader. So some of us, we are actually failing in our leadership. I don't know, peradventure, you watching at this show, you are among those kind of leaders that you think that your success is based on what you do, based on your achievements, while you are there. Well, it could be measured by that from the general perspective, but there's another dimension of success that you can have when you are able to bring people into what you are doing and they can do it better than you, so that you become a shoulder on which others can stand upon to see further and to go further in life. You are a giant in what you are doing, but if nobody is standing on your shoulder, then you are not a true giant in that career. You are not a true giant in leadership. You are not a true giant in ministry. Others must be able to stand on your platform of success, your platform of experience, your platform of usefulness and resourcefulness to become more resourceful, more useful, more productive, more effective, more efficient. So provide a platform for younger generations. That's your true success. Invest in them, open doors for them, give them opportunities, create opportunities for them, and help them to see those opportunities, help them to step into those opportunities, help them to walk into those opportunities. That is your success as a leader. That is your success as a leader, helping other leaders to succeed, helping the next generation to become better than you, to become glorious than you, to become influential than you, to become impactful than you, to become excellent than you, to become, resourceful than you. That's your true success in your leadership. One of the reasons why we fail to invest in the next generation of leaders is because we fail to see far into the future. We are not visionary in our leadership. We don't have a vision for continuity. We don't think continuity. Once you don't think continuity as a leader, once you don't think 10 years after you, 20 years after you, 100 years after you, certainly you will not even see the need why you should invest in the people who are under you. As a president, if you cannot look at your nation 100 years from where you are, 50 years from where you are, if you're a director, the CEO of that company, you cannot look into that company 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now. You may not see the need to invest in the next generation. Now you are 40 years, you are 50 years. In the next 10, 20, 40 years, 30 years maximum for some, 40 years maximum, you will be on retirement. You won't have the strength to sit in that office. But you can still be in that office when you are out of that office, when you have a vision for continuity. And that vision will push you to identify young people, younger generation, and start pouring out your experience, your knowledge, your skills, your potentials, your anointing, your gifts, your talents, everything about you into them. So when we don't think or when we don't have a vision for continuity, we will fail to invest in the next generation leaders. When we are not also intentional about it, we will of course fail. Training, investing in the next generation leaders doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by accident. Even if you became a leader by accident, you succeeded by accident, and all of that, the people under you should not do that by accident. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. You have to provide a roadmap for success for the people under you, a roadmap for their leadership profile, a roadmap for them to climb the ladders of leadership. So you have to be intentional about it. You have to be purposeful. You have to think about it. It will not just happen overnight. It's a deliberate action. Invest in the next generation of that organization, of that institution, of that company, of that business, of that family, or whatsoever community or sphere of influence that you occupy. Investing in the next generation leaders is intentional. How intentional are you in passing on what you have to the next generation? How intentional are you to start mentoring, coaching, training, developing, investing, guiding, counseling, nurturing the next leader, your successor, the person that will take over from you? Are you intentional about it? We fail to invest in the next generation leaders because it is not also our culture. To some of us, it's not our culture. Some of us grew up in a culture where you are is just by try and error. It's survival for the fittest. Nobody was concerned about your development. Nobody was concerned about your future. Nobody was concerned about your profile in your career, your profile in leadership, your profile in life. And since nobody paid attention to you, nobody assisted you in that domain, nobody was closely working alongside with you in your career path, in your ministry path, in your success path, and all of that. So that has not been your culture, and you don't also know what to do. And to some of us, it's very strange. And to some of us who just come in from nowhere into leadership positions, maybe through corruption, or maybe through bribery, or maybe through favor even, or through whatsoever, through a miracle. You've just found yourself in leadership position. We thank God for that. But about others coming up, you have to provide a culture. You have to set a new culture. A culture that you met that was a bad culture. You have to break that culture. Don't just say that, well, nobody helped me to where I am. Yes, nobody helped you, but you will not cause a generation after you to suffer the things you suffered. I think what God permitted you to go through was so that you could narrow the gap. You should narrow the gap of failure, the gap of errors, the gap of mistakes, the gap of dangers for generations after you. For generations after you. And that will be very, very important for you to take that into consideration, that what I suffered to where I am, I should not permit others to go through the same process of suffering. But there are other things that they can go through, they can learn from your experience and all of that. But if you must permit them to go through because that's what you went through, then you are failing also in leadership. God has brought you in and God has helped you to be where you are, so that the help that you've gotten, the experience you've gotten, you can use that to build another culture for that organization. Maybe the people who served there ahead of you, nobody helped you to show you the road to where you are. Now that you discover the road to where you are, help to show that road to the next generation. So since it's not our culture in mentoring people, especially us in Africa, where this concept of mentorship, coaching, accountability is far-fetched from us, both the younger generation, the upcoming leaders, and the outgoing leaders, we must all embrace this culture of mentorship, coaching, accountability. Accountability. If the future must be better, must be greater, must be powerful, must be successful than the present and the past, then we must engage in that. I know in one of our episodes, we'll be talking on mentorship and why mentorship is important. But for now, we're talking about the culture of investing and raising and grooming of upcoming leaders. We should embrace that culture. And the last thing is, when we don't have a process to cue the incoming or the upcoming generational leaders into it. Once there is no process, once there is no structure, once there is no system where we can inculcate them into that system, into that culture of learning, of growth, of capacity building, of development, we will also fail in raising new leaders. So we must provide a process, we must provide a culture, we must provide a system, we must provide a structure. We must develop strategies that we will follow in order to invest and to raise the next upcoming generation leaders. I think that's what we had for you in today's episode. Why don't you subscribe? Why don't you share this link if you are actually blessed, of which I know you were blessed? And please, if you have questions on what we have shared, don't hesitate to drop it on the comment box so that in our next episode, we could pay attention to some of your worries. God bless you. I am your host. Call me John Neba. Thank you.
Welcome to Leadership Hall, where we learn leadership, think leadership, talk leadership, and effecting a positive change in leadership for kingdom and global impact. We encourage you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.